Hi, welcome to the DNX podcast. My name is Sylvia Cressman, and I'm here today with Hunter Cressman, one of my favorite people in this world, who is my Vedic meditation teacher and is here to tell us a little bit more about what that really means and how to implement certain practices into your life. Hi, Hunter. How are you?
Hey, Sylvia. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. I'm so glad you're here. So why don't you just get us started to tell us a little bit more about yourself, how you got started and how you really got into that and what that means to you on a daily basis.
Yeah, certainly. So it was about almost 9 years ago, I moved to New York City from California. And it was actually fresh out of college when the economic crisis had happened, and all of my job prospects kind of disappeared as a graduate, and so there was this big unknown time after graduating, and I thought, hey, why not go to New York? And this feeling kept coming up inside to just go to New York and see what happens. And of course, at that point in time, I was driven by my analytical, logical brain as a trained engineer. And was like, no. Yeah, I studied mechanical engineering in school. And all of that overanalysis in my mind kind of prevented me from sort of taking that big leap. But then one morning, it just got so loud that I felt sort of choiceless in the matter. And I went online and bought a one-way ticket and left the next day. I thought I would just try something I'd never done before. And so I just leaped into the unknown and showed up in New York. And one of the first things that happened was I made friends with a Vedic meditation teacher just by chance. And at that time, I had pretty severe insomnia and anxiety from lots of stress during school. And so I was looking for something to help with that. And this technique of Vedic meditation seemed to be like it might be the thing that would do it for me. And so I ended up doing this 4-day training course with my teacher at that time, and learned the technique. And after 2.5 weeks of practicing on my own, I was sleeping like a baby and feeling happy for no reason. And it just very quickly, the benefits started showing. And so I kept the practice going, and it just got better and better and better. And then I ended up...
Yeah, I remember it was about a year ago where we started working together because I was struggling with insomnia and high degrees of anxiety, and I had the exact same experience. Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing what this technique does. It's so effective at releasing stress from the physiology. And so the body's able to very naturally restore itself and get the level of rest that it needs at nighttime, as well as during the meditation practice. I remember when I first learned the technique, hearing about the deep level of rest and what it does to the physiology, and just being amazed at how the body knows how to release stress when we just get in the right state of consciousness, and we're able to rest very deeply. And this technique, it actually rests your body 5 times deeper than sleep. And so it's that profound rest that allows the body to activate its self-healing mechanism and purify out stress that has accumulated there. So it's I enjoy sharing it, with people, because it's so effective. And I've been practicing it every day for the last 8.5 years, and I stayed in New York, obviously, still based there after all this time. I worked as an engineer for 5 years in the jewelry business, actually, for David Yurman, the American jewelry designer, as a product development engineer. And I had my twice daily meditation practice going every day in the morning, and then also in the evening between work and dinner. And it was just a total game changer. Being able to live in that very fast-paced New York environment at a very demanding job, and to be able to thrive in that kind of environment without getting burnt out was all possible because I was doing this twice daily meditation practice.
Yeah, I mean, it never fails to amaze me how effective meditation is. It's so simple and it's so effective. I know that you and I have talked about this quite a bit, that sometimes you feel that needs to be this really complex solution for this seemingly complex problem of nervous states of nervousness, anxiety, and insomnia. And really all it required was a consistent meditation practice, and that made it vanish within a few weeks, which I think is extraordinary. So Hunter, tell me a little bit more about how, aside from, so you meditate twice daily for 20 minutes, is that correct?
Yeah, 20 minutes twice a day. And that's really the foundation of everything that I do in terms of my routine. And from there, I've sort of built on additional practices over the years that have also stemmed from the same body of knowledge from where this technique of meditation comes from. And, this practice, it comes from this body of knowledge called the Veda. And the Veda is this universal wisdom that comes from nature. And so it's all inclusive and universal in where it comes from. It's been around for over 10,000 years, and it's not religious or dogmatic. Anyone from any lifestyle or belief system can learn Vedic knowledge and apply it to their life without being required to change anything. And more and more people are becoming familiar with these various branches of the Veda. And one of those branches is known as Ayurveda. And Ayurveda is the knowledge of life and longevity and mind-body balance. So within Ayurveda, certainly meditation can be included in that, but it goes beyond just the sitting eyes closed practice of releasing stress from the body. Ayurveda includes different lifestyle routines that you would do in the morning to prepare your body for the day, as well as different foods that you would eat during different times of the year. So seasonal eating, and also eating for your body type. So it's very, personalized in that way, as well as just doing different things that keep you in tune and in balance with nature around you. And the fascinating thing is that everybody in some way does practice a degree of Ayurveda. But people don't realize it. For example, when the seasons shift from summer into fall, into winter, and back into spring, we all change our wardrobe to match that different season. And so we dress according to that season. And that simple thing that we all do is technically one aspect of Ayurveda, keeping yourself in balance with the seasons and keeping the body temperature at the right, in tune with the seasons based on what we wear, is a form of Ayurveda. But of course, it goes beyond just, wardrobe. We can, look at diet and look at food that we eat that can help keep us in balance. For example, how I got into Ayurveda was actually a couple years into meditation. I found that my anxiety levels diminished significantly just from the meditation practice. But then I started noticing this trend happening when the weather would get really cold into the fall and into winter, the anxiety would start rising up a little bit. Not as bad as it did previously, but it still would increase a bit. And I noticed it was due to the change in weather. And so that's when I started exploring Ayurveda, and I discovered some really helpful tools that worked really well for me, including some shifts in diet. I started incorporating some more healthy fats and proteins into my diet. Different foods have a heating effect. And so when you incorporate more of those foods into your diet, it keeps you warm and insulated.
What kind of foods would that be? Like if for all of those listening, living in cold climates right now, what kind of foods could they add into their diet?
The biggest game changer for me was adding ghee. Ghee is clarified butter. Essentially, you take butter and you heat it up and you bring it to a boil, and the milk solids in that butter separate. Most of them will sink to the bottom of the pan, and some will float at the top. And then once that separation has occurred, then you just strain it, and you take away the milk solids and you're left with this beautiful golden clarified butter, and you let that cool, and that's the ghee that you use. And so you basically use ghee in your cooking. So, if you're frying anything or sauteing something, you would use ghee as the oil. You can add it to soups, oatmeal, basically any food. And it's really delicious. Mm-hmm. It makes food, taste, it brings out flavor in the food. And you definitely want to have it warmed and melted. You don't want to just eat ghee straight off of a spoon, even though it could be tempting because it does taste really good. It's important to heat it so that it doesn't have any kind of clogging effect in the system. When it's heated, it's actually very nourishing for the digestive system, and it also acts as an agent for bringing nutrients into your bloodstream so that it can penetrate the cellular walls of your cells and actually bring that nutrients into the cells of your body rather than it just passing through. Because a lot of times, we'll get into supplements or we'll eat certain foods that we think are nourishing us, but if you don't have the proper agents in the food to actually carry that nutrients into the body properly, it just passes through. So ghee is a really great way of increasing nutritional value in food as well.
Very cool. Very cool. What is another thing that people could add to their diet in the winter?
I think just a general rule of thumb is, and it's pretty obvious, you want to have warming, nourishing, grounding foods. So, having like a cold salad or a cold juice or water or something in the wintertime wouldn't necessarily be ideal and could actually increase that anxiety and kind of sort of airy-minded, mind-fluttering kind of effect, or where you might feel like you're worrying too much about something. Those kinds of experiences during the wintertime are caused by too much air in the body. And so we want to decrease the air by nourishing the body with very grounding, earthy foods. I enjoy in the wintertime making a nice pot of oatmeal in the morning. I'll put different spices in there, depending on how my body is feeling. So certain spices have heating effects. Other spices have a cooling effect. And so,
what spices would that be? Give me two each, spices that have a heating effect.
Yeah. So a warming spice, for oatmeal, for example, cinnamon has a bit of a warming effect, as well as ginger. Ginger is very warming and cleansing, as well as cinnamon. It kind of, if you're feeling sluggish and tired, a little bit of ginger and cinnamon in your oatmeal in the morning will help wake you up.
Oh, I love cinnamon and ginger in my oatmeal. I have it here every day. I'm not currently in a cold climate, but I am a body type that's very vata. And so for me, even though it's 30 degrees here, even in the middle of the night, I get up in the morning and I eat my warm grounding foods and some hot lemon with water and ginger. And then I have my oatmeal with some cinnamon in there, and it makes me feel so grounded and so happy. It's my favorite.
So good. So delicious. And then it's so good. And you can combine spices too. Like you can add some warming and some cooling, depending on how you're feeling and what effect you're looking for.
What would be a good cooling one I could add to that?
Yeah. So, cardamom is a great one, and fennel. Fennel, generally we think of as something that's a bit more savory, but I add it to my oatmeal and it has a really nice flavor to it. You don't need a whole lot, and it has a nice cooling effect. And cardamom is great too, because it helps break down protein. So if you're adding, milk, whether it's dairy or nut milk to your oatmeal, a little bit of cardamom will help the body break down that protein.
Oh, how delicious. Okay, I'm going to add that. I only have access to coconut milk here at the time. And I make turmeric milk with coconut. A hot turmeric milk with coconuts and cinnamon spices in it. It's my evening drink. I know.
That's delicious.
Yeah,
I have to come visit.
Yeah,
try your coconut version.
Yeah. Well, you have to do, when you travel a lot, you have to use what is available in whichever country that you are in. And they do not have almonds here, so there's no almond milk, but there's plenty of coconut. So obviously there's plenty of coconut milk and turmeric and cinnamon spices. So, coconut milk. It's a coconut. I make my own version of a coconut milk latte with turmeric.
And no amazing. And that's actually another Ayurvedic principle that you're even following, which is eating locally and eating what's available that's grown locally within the place that you're living at that time. And of course that changes depending on where you're traveling. And that kind of flexibility and adaptability is what Ayurveda is all about. So different people will eat different things depending on 1, your body type, 2, the season, and 3, where you're located. And so we take all of that into consideration.
It's been really a game changer for me. Yeah. That when I changed because I travel so much, and when I learned to adjust my diet to not only the temperature outside, because that to me is always the first, I'm always cold. And I don't like windy places very much. But when I learned how to really pacify and nourish my body based on the environment that I'm in. And that could be based on the region that I'm in. I could eat locally, but it could also be sort of my state of mind, right? That sometimes when you get really stressed in the middle of the day, instead of eating the salad that I had planned, sometimes I need to go and eat something else just because would make me calm down more than whatever I thought I was going to plan ahead as a meal for the day. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, definitely. So it's all about coming in tune with your body and feeling out at any moment in time what it is that your body needs at that moment, rather than trying to do much to anticipation and planning of what exactly you need, or being told by someone else what you need to be doing, but really coming into yourself and seeing, okay, well, what is it that I need right now? And with the knowledge of Ayurveda, you have that full spectrum of understanding of your options based on how you feel, and you know exactly what food to be taking for yourself depending on what that feeling is that comes up for you. So yeah, that more intuitive way of eating and assessing what your body needs is what develops over time as you start practicing Ayurveda. And I found that to be true with when I first started, in the wintertime, I started eating more ghee, and I actually got into raw dairy for a while as well, which was very nourishing for me at that time. And suddenly all the anxiety was gone. And I used to hate winter, especially in New York. And now I love it because the body feels insulated. It's warm and nourished from the inside out. And, there's no bone chill that comes from going outside, in freezing cold temperatures. And suddenly when you're in tune with all the seasons, then you can learn to actually enjoy all the seasons, not just 1 or 2 of them. And,
I would have to really work on that. I would have to work on my ghee intake.
Yeah.
I seem to be escaping winter as much as I can. Maybe one day, Hunter, I will come to love winter because of this. In the meantime, I will be traveling in warmer regions where I'll be chasing the sunshine. So tell me, just like as one last thought, what is your favorite evening routine to really, after a stressful day, unwind and relax?
Yeah, that's a good one. I would say definitely the number one thing I do is my second meditation. That is the biggest game changer of them all. The first meditation, I would say for the majority of people when they get into meditation, doing that first meditation once a day in the morning is pretty easy to implement. But getting that second meditation in tends to be a bit more challenging. But once you learn how to do it and you start doing it, it creates some very big shifts in your life. I found that to be true rather quickly. I noticed that what would happen is before I started meditating, I'd come home from school or work and I would feel pretty exhausted from, all the demands of the day. And I just want to kind of chill out and do something to try and shut my brain off, watch a TV show, order in some Thai food or something, and just kind of relax, maybe have a beer, a glass of wine or something. And then I started doing this meditation twice a day. And that second one, it started shifting my whole evening experience. I used to feel, kind of tired at the end of the day. And suddenly I would get the second wind of energy and clarity and creativity in the evening, before dinner time. And that would inspire me to do different things. Instead of just vegging out, I started getting into cooking and exploring more Ayurveda. I started keeping my apartment cleaner. I would, feel more energy to want to go out and hang out with friends more often, work on a side project, and I found myself being more productive and doing those things that I actually wanted to be doing, but would use that kind of post-work procrastination, I'm too tired and lazy to do anything kind of feeling to drive me. And suddenly that was gone. And now I could really actually do those things that I wanted to do, work on those side projects and just enjoy life more without trying to tune it out and shut it out. So I would say that's definitely been the number one game changer. And from there, I'm pretty flexible, to be honest. I'm not super rigid in my routines. And I do like to change things up depending on how I'm feeling and what the season is and where I'm traveling. But I would say, do I have anything super consistent? Not really. I mean, I love tea, and trying all different kinds of teas. And there's a variety of different, nighttime teas that are really great. In the wintertime, a really great evening tea is, you can take chai spices without the black tea, of course, just the spices themselves, a little bit of, cardamom and cinnamon and clove and ginger. You can boil that in a pot of water and add, your favorite type of milk to that. And you can even sweeten it. Yeah, exactly. And, you could sweeten it a little bit with, either some chopped up dates, or you can sweeten it with a little bit of maple syrup. And it's a really calming and nourishing to have something warm and sweet before you go to bed.
Yeah.
And, there are other specific types of teas available as well that are specific for helping you fall asleep. So if you have trouble falling asleep at night, I would say first learn meditation helps you fall asleep at night. Not right before bed, of course, but just in general, when you're doing it twice a day, you're getting that extra rest from the meditation, which then allows you to fall asleep more easily at night and stay well rested at night. So the body's not trying to release stress while you're sleeping because it's already released that stress during the meditation. It helps you fall asleep at night, gets rid of that insomnia. But then in terms of teas, just something warm and grounding, like I described before, will be helpful.
Yeah.
And
that's what I do. I sometimes still need a little help to fall asleep at night. I like my teas at night because they also psychologically give me the cutoff line, like put the computer down, stop working, do not play on your phone, and like make it into a ritual where I just make my tea and I put down my electronic gadgets and sort of create that this is the end of the day ritual, which I think is really, really beautiful. Thank you so much, Hunter. Yeah. We have already come to the end of our time. So thank you so much for being here today. Is there anything that you want to tell our listeners? Like, how can they find you? Would you tell us real quick?
Yeah, certainly. So I can be found at themodernmind.com. And there you'll see my offerings for Vedic meditation, and you can connect with me out that way as well. Reach out to me through the contact link on the website. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them for you. I'm based in New York City. I teach frequently in California, and also in other parts of the world. I offer retreats as well, meditation retreats in the Colorado Rockies and in India, which are really fun. So come check it out. Come hang out in New York. If you're ever visiting, come say hello. And thank you for having me. This was really great.
Well, I definitely will. Yeah, thank you so much. And all the links that you just mentioned, we will post below. Thank you so much for being here today. And I'll talk to you soon, Hunter. Bye.
Thanks, Sylvia. Bye.
That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening and your ongoing support. So before I leave you, I want to invite you into my world. We here at DNX have a community of 11,000 members worldwide, and we'd love it if you joined us. You can find us at dnxcommunity.com. That's where you will get all the announcements about the DNX camps and ongoing events. Please come and join us there. You can also find out more about the English-speaking event in September in Lisbon, Portugal at dnxglobal.com. And before you go, if I can ask for one favor, please go to iTunes and look for Sylvia Cressman or the DNX podcast and leave a rating. And if you have time, maybe 1 or 2 sentences for feedback. That would allow us to rank higher and bring more inspirational guests onto the show. Thank you so much for all your support. Have a wonderful day. Love and light.